Welcome to the Rider Outsiders, where we talk CFL football and your Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm Mitch Wiles. Today on the show, we have Rider rookie receiver, the rookie sensation, Kyran Moore. He stands 5'10", 165 pounds, and the guy can play football. So we got him on the show. And we also have Bryce calling in from Regina with the report. I haven't heard the report yet, but that's to come in any minute now. Dylan's sick today, so we won't hear from Dylan. We'll have him back on the show next week. Now, today, I'm in Charlotte, New Brunswick. So the show is coming out of Charlotte, New Brunswick. I'm on a sort of a Canada tour here. We were in Alaska, then we were in Regina for the Labor Day game. Now we're up in New Brunswick, and we'll be back to normal shows in 2 weeks. We'll have one more road show next week. Okay, so before we get too much into the Banjo Bowl, let's first talk to Kyran Moore. We talked to him before the game. Take a listen. All right, I'm with Kyran Moore at the practice field. So you've gone quickly from a practice roster to one of the heroes of Labor Day. Mm-hmm. And I see you're on highlight reels now, and you got media requests coming left and right, I bet. Mm-hmm. So how are these last couple of days been for you?
Man, it's been a blessing, man. It's been crazy, though. It's been wild. You know, like, my phone been blowing up since, I say, probably like halftime of the game. So, but it's been good, a good experience so far.
Now, the big play for you, the punt return touchdown, 65 yards. We like to take our listeners back to a play and have the players sort of break down what was going through your mind through that. Can you tell us how that unfolded for you?
Well, it started off, of course, he punted the ball, and I don't think I was thinking about catching it. And when I caught the ball, it was somebody in my face already, and I made a move to the inside, to the right. And then I tried to step back on another defender, and he, wrapped my hip, but it was like a slingshot, because when he grabbed my hip and he slipped off, he just turned me back into the field. And it just, when I stayed on my feet and I saw open grass, that was all she wrote. Then I would just get to the end zone.
Now, you're the youngest player, just 21 on the team. Are you looking up to any of the other players that are mentor on the team for you right now, or has there been?
Yeah, you got a couple, Name, you got Rob do a good job. Thiggy, CJ, Christian Jones. It's a lot. And even from defense, you got Willie, you got Gainey, and of course you got Hughes. That's my guy. But they stay in my ear though.
What is Hughes telling you?
He's just like, man, keep doing what I'm doing. Swerve on. That's the first thing. They swerve on them.
Now, so you're 21 now, but a couple of weeks, I believe, you'll be 22.
Right.
What are you planning to do to celebrate for your birthday?
To be honest, I don't know. I haven't thought of that yet. I think my mom's supposed to be coming, so hopefully she comes. But if she don't, then I'll probably just do something with the team.
Now in college, you're called what? Tiny. Mm-hmm. Here they're calling you Swerve. Mm-hmm. What does your mom call you?
Kai or Temp. Temp. So when she usually send me like a motivational text like every morning. Like ever since I came to Canada, like even in camp, she'll send me a message in the morning. I'll make sure I talk to her at night. So
on the roster, they have you down as 165 pounds. So there's literally guys twice your size trying to tackle you, trying to inflict some damage. So what's the secret to surviving on this field?
Don't get touched. Don't let them get their hands on you. And if they do, just move in a way to, if they do get their hands on you, they won't be comfortable. They barely get a hand, So that's what's the key for me. Don't let them touch you.
And we talked to Naaman Roosevelt a couple of weeks ago, and he pointed you out, saying that guy's the quickest guy on this team. He's the fastest guy on this team, and you showed it. You showed it in the Labor Day Classic there. So I guess that brings the question of, if you're the fastest guy on the Riders, Kyran, who is the slowest player?
Ooh, the slowest. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with either I'm gonna go with CJ or Dan.
CJ or Dan Clark?
Dan Clark.
Okay, all right. They won't mind. They won't mind at all.
Nah.
Okay, and so Chris Jones this year, he's had this tendency to move guys around, try them out in different places where they have different experience. Mm-hmm. You played quarterback in high school, I think. You played some DB. Mm-hmm. Is there somewhere that you would like to line up maybe this year?
Hopefully I can get a pass, and I can actually throw the ball, or even line up at corner at DB. Yeah. So hopefully that's just my request. I don't know if Coach Jones gonna do it, but that's what's going on in my mind.
And that's excellent. And obviously, you're living here in Saskatchewan. I believe you're from Alabama. Went to school in Tennessee. What are you missing most from back home?
To be honest, I just probably it has to be family. It just has to be. That's it for real. I mean, and when it started getting cold, because it's starting to get a little cold, it's starting to get a little chilly, and I'm not used to that. So, even other than the warm weather, I have to say family. That's about it.
Has your family come up to watch you yet?
Not yet. She planning on my birthday on the 19th of this month, or if not, then she gonna come in October.
Oh, nice. All right, so we got the Banjo Bowl coming up next. We're going over to Winnipeg. So what do you think, and what do you got to bring to the table to get that back-to-back win there in Winnipeg?
Just have a great week of practice and just do what we do. And I think that we can come out on top.
There's one that I missed. So one of your first down catches during the game, you threw the little fireball there at the end. Was that a nod to Duran, or is that just the receiver corps does that, or what were you thinking?
When I first came in, DC was the first one who said that's what they do.
Okay.
And I've been on practice roster when he was here. So now that I'm in, I told him I was gonna do when I got a first down. So shout out to Duran.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Thanks. Big thanks there to Kyran Moore for coming on the show. And the Riders did get the back-to-back wins against Winnipeg, winning in the Banjo Bowl. And again, Kyran got 2 catches for 50 yards in the game. That's only outdone by Jordan Williams-Lambert, 5 catches, 71 yards. And what a weird game this one was. So I was traveling, coming through Winnipeg. I would love to be at the game, but I was at the Winnipeg airport on my way to New Brunswick. Luckily, the plane got delayed, and we were staying in the Air Canada Lounge there. We had one of those free passes to get into there, watching the game in there. I think there's food there all day, and there's some beers there. So that was actually the best layover I ever had there in Winnipeg. And that game was bizarre. So let's just take a look at these stats here. So 32-27 win. You have Matt Nichols throwing 3 interceptions, Chris Strevler throwing 2 interceptions, Zach Clararos throwing an interception. You also got a bunch of interceptions that were called back on penalties. You had 2 of the interceptions, I believe, were pick sixes. It was just a bizarre game. You got a bunch of fumbles. You got quarterbacks getting injured. Zach Clararos was taken away on concussion protocol. Matt Nichols was pulled. Just a wild game. Trey Mason runs for 117 yards, while Andrew Harris, who in the previous matchup ran for 158 yards, he only runs for 21, 10 carries for 21. Just a bizarre game. Brett Laher, 6 field goals, 6 for 6, long of 45. Defense, we had a couple sacks, obviously all those picks, but Ed Gainey had a quarterback sack. It's on a big scramble there, I believe, by Strevler. The new halfback, Purifoy, 2 interceptions, 8 defensive tackles. You got to look to him as one of the defensive stars. It's not often you get 2 interceptions and 8 defensive tackles. Sam McGuavin had a quarterback sack and an interception. Like, the defense of the Riders, they got to be one of the best defenses in the league. We just need to get that offense to catch up. And with Zach, it looks like that offense is coming along, albeit a little bit slower than we want, but it's coming along. We just got to hope that Zach's okay, because the offense didn't look that great under Brandon Bridge, though I'm a huge Bridge fan, and maybe he's going to come back and get a couple starts and prove some of the people that are sort of losing a little bit of faith in him that he is a future number 1 quarterback in the CFL. I don't know yet, but you never know. I hope so. Let's see, who else? Mike Edom had an interception. And as for Hughes, I don't believe Hughes got a sack. He was rolling this month and last month. Let's double check here. Charleston Hughes, only 1 tackle there. So he had a lot of pressures and whatnot, but no sack. Willie Jefferson had had a pretty good game there. 1 quarterback sack, 1 interception, 3 tackles. So this game, at one point, Winnipeg was leading by, I believe, 10 points before the half. And I'm not sure if it was about 4 or 5 minutes to go. Winnipeg's up 10. It looks like even they were going to extend that lead. And then the wheels came off. Then all of a sudden, Saskatchewan has a 20-point second quarter, most of that coming late in the quarter, and the Riders go into halftime leading. Just insane. Winnipeg ends up scoring 10 points in the second half, making it a very close game, and they actually took the lead with about 7 minutes remaining, 27-26. Saskatchewan comes back, goes up 32-27, and that's history. Strevler just couldn't quite do it. Couldn't quite make the big comeback, though he had opportunity when Bridge and the Rider offense sort of stalled in the late fourth quarter. They just needed to burn 2 minutes off the clock. They go 2-and-out and punt. Luckily, the defense comes strong, forces a punt out of Winnipeg. But what happens with the Rider offense? Another quick punting situation. So special teams is doing great. Defense is doing amazing. That offense it's close. They have a lot of tools. They have a lot of weapons, like Kyran Moore, who you heard from earlier, like Jordan Williams-Lambert, Naaman Roosevelt. They've got a very good tools there. Trey Mason's coming into his own. He's offset with Thigpen back there. Like, there's the tools. Let's just see a little more gelling, and let's put up some big numbers. 32 points, that should be enough to win a game, and luckily it was. Okay, I understand the tape from Bryce in Regina is in. I haven't heard it. We're just going to go to it. This is Bryce's rant from Regina.
You are listening to the Rider Outsiders, where we talk CFL football and your Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm the self-proclaimed genius of Canadian football here, Bryce Wiles. I am running a solo mission. I'm on my own. I'm behind enemy lines, shaking, scared for my life, because my partners in crime are not here with me. Dylan has fireballs shooting out of his throat. He can't do the podcast. So I'm going to get you started here with some quick hits. Now we had some quick hits. We had some big hits in the CFL. Travis Lulay is out, an upper body injury. He left in the second. Doubtful to return. That's not good for the BC Lions, because they are currently in last place in the West, and they got a lot of work to do to try and climb out of the basement now if they're going to be running their backup quarterback. Talking about big hits, we also saw Zach Collaros getting careened by number 29 from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 13 minutes in the fourth quarter. He fumbled the ball, but the hit didn't look. It looked like a big hit, but it didn't look like he got hit in the head. It looked like he got hit in the shoulder. So maybe the wind got knocked out of him. No news on his return. He came back to the sidelines under his own power. Zach Collaros does have a history with concussions, so they must be just running concussion protocol on him, and hopefully we will see Zach Collaros back for the Riders. And if not, all those games that Brandon Bridge played at the beginning of the season, I hope those all pay off if we have to see Brandon Bridge later in the season for the Riders. Okay, quickly going through the games in the CFL this week. We had BC beating Ottawa at home, despite Lulay going out in the second. And the BC is really tough to beat at home. Moving on, we had Hamilton beating Toronto. Hamilton came back in the fourth quarter to win it, and we saw Mazzoli and Bethel Thompson. They came out there, and they were looking pretty good. I think Mazzoli is back, and Hamilton could get back on one of those hot streaks. In the other game in the CFL, we had Edmonton beating Calgary at home. Riley and Bo Levi Mitchell, both quarterbacks, were passing it deep, gunslinging it. Big scores, 42-48. But Calgary tried to come back with that last play, Hail Mary into the end zone, and it took pretty much all of the Edmonton DBs to rip that ball out to take the win in Edmonton. So as of now, we got the standings in the East. It's all tied up for first place with Ottawa and Hamilton, both at 6 and 5. And tied up in the basement with Montreal, Toronto, both at 3 and 8. But in the West, we got Calgary, of course, in the lead, 9 and 2. And the Riders still ahead of Edmonton in second place because they have one less loss at 7 and 4, while Edmonton is sitting at 7 and 5. We got Winnipeg at 5 and 7 in fourth place, and BC at 4 and 6. So we'll just get right on to the game that everybody wants to talk about right now. It's Saskatchewan going over to Winnipeg to play the rematch, the Labor Day rematch. So what I saw about the game, the first quarter, you saw Winnipeg jump that screen route. I'm thinking, Jones, come on, we got to mix it up a bit. It's like they've been watching the tape all week, and they read the play perfectly. The DB just jumped that little hitch route and took it for a pick six, and that's no way to start a game in the CFL. But the Riders got some redemption there. Willie Jefferson returns the favor in the second. He returns one interception for a touchdown, and he took the long way home on the return, and I'm pretty sure the fans in Winnipeg did not like that at all. I also saw the Riders choosing to punt it out of the end zone. It worked last week, and they got the win this week, but it gives the other team really good field position, so Jones really believes in his defense. And what a defense it is, because they got 5 interceptions this game. So we saw Winnipeg throwing it deep, and the Riders get the interception, but it's called back on pass interference. And pretty much a couple plays later, Sam Iguavin comes back and gets an interception and returns it for a touchdown. He was the one on the play who had the interception called back in the second quarter there. So moving along, in the third, Nichols gets pulled. He goes out. And then we got even more interceptions. Purefoy, I think it's his second interception there in the third. We also saw the Riders march it down the field but not score any touchdowns. The unsung hero, I think, of this game was Brett Lawler, who was 6 for 6, who was the one I think really won the game for the Riders out in Winnipeg Stadium there. And then in the fourth, we saw the big hit on Zach Caleros, and Bridge goes in. And Bridge kind of got it done, but he was kind of side-arming it. You know, he's kind of flinging it a little weird with his kind of football throwing, but it worked, and the Riders came out with the win. Now I'm going to give you a Rouge of the Week here. I'm going to give you 1 point. I don't know if it's a point, but maybe it's just something that I like, that I saw. And I'm going to send this over and pay homage to my good friend Dylan. Because we saw that on the last play of the Ottawa BC game, Odell Willis makes a sack on the last play to finish off the game. And what does he do? He does a sack celebration that I remembered from way back. So you're gonna see the JEFF Jeff Jarrett. Woo! You see Odell Willis do it at the end of the game. Go to CFL.ca, watch the recap, and enjoy it. So moving along here on the RO podcast, we're going to go right to some predictions because everybody wants to know what the genius thinks is going to happen in Week 14 in the CFL. So the first game we got Friday, BC at Montreal, and BC at Montreal. Who are you going to take? Is Lule back? Is Montreal getting hot? You know what? I'm going to go with Montreal on this one. BC's got to go all the way out east, and Lule's not going to be back. Montreal might take the win in this one. Saturday's game, Calgary at Hamilton. Well, you know what? How can you bet against Calgary? Calgary's probably going to win this one, even though Calgary's coming off a loss. I think Calgary's got the team that can beat Hamilton, even though Hamilton can get hot at times. Saturday game, late game, we have the Red Blacks, formerly known as the Ottawa Roughriders, but the Ottawa Red Blacks are coming into Mosaic Stadium to play the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I'm going to take the Riders at home over Ottawa next week.
All right, big thanks to Bryce Wiles for that report. Unfortunately, a little bit of technical issue here. I wasn't able to hear that as it went out, but I know you all did, and I assume it was very insightful, and Bryce had many interesting things to say, and you guys are all still contemplating some of those thoughts from the self-professed genius of Canadian football. Okay, now, I've been so wrapped up in this back-to-back Winnipeg matchups that I haven't even looked forward to week 14. So let's take a quick look at it. We have BC at Montreal to set us up on Friday. Montreal is tied for last in the East with 3 wins. BC's in the basement in the West. I think that's a fun game in Montreal where it's probably going to be a low-scoring battle, and I see Montreal coming out on top. And that would actually put them ahead of Toronto because Toronto has the bye this week. Next up is Saturday, Calgary in Hamilton. Calgary just lost to Edmonton. Still in first place, but the loss to Edmonton. Will Hamilton have enough under Mazzoli to defeat Calgary at home? Ooh, it's a tough one. Lately, I've been seeing Mazzoli as sort of like a Darren Durant type. He can throw, he can run, he can break some tackles, he can make some tough, lucky throws. Like he wins games, but it's not always pretty. He's not that sort of finesse quarterback, but he gets it done. So can that quarterback, that type of quarterback, the Darren Durant type of quarterback, beat Bo Levi? Whew. I'm going to say it's a close game, and the Calgary slump begins. Hamilton wins by 1 or 2 points at home. All right, the third and final matchup of the week. Right after that game, we have Ottawa in Saskatchewan. The Riders are back home to face the Red Blacks. Now, Ottawa's first place in the East. However, Trevor Harris has been looking like garbage lately, and I love that guy. I wanted the Riders to go after that guy. I thought he could be a great franchise quarterback, but goodness, Trevor Harris is slumping. So I see the Riders continuing the winning streak, beating the first place team in the East. The Red Blacks go down. The Riders win that ball game. All right, that is it for this week on the Rider Outsiders. You can catch us on iTunes. You can find us on Google Play. We got a couple episodes, our latest episodes up on SoundCloud. All our episodes are on YouTube. No video there, but just the audio on YouTube. Please subscribe wherever you find us, and so you can make sure you get our episodes as they come out. We drop a new episode Monday mornings. We usually put it together. We all come together on Sundays, and we get it out on Monday. So subscribe, check us out, and see you guys next week. This was the Rider Outsiders.